Welcome to Inspirational Leadership. We're on number 4 in leaders' self-care. And we've talked about the fact that depression, anxiety and stress are a part of a leader's life, and we've seen that in biblical characters like Elijah and biblical characters like Paul. And I want to take a bit longer this time. These are normally just 2 minutes. This may be a bit longer today. And talk about being able to pick or tell what's going on with you and to look out for the signs that things may not be so good. And the reason I say that is because I went through a period of time, a number of years ago now, where there were lots of signs in my life, but I just didn't see them. So I was looking for the idea of just being overwhelmed with depression and darkness and couldn't get out of bed and couldn't get started. And I didn't have any of those signs. I was pleased about what I was doing. I couldn't wait to get at it. I was all kind of fired up for ministry, and yet I was not in a good space. And it wasn't until I woke up one day and my head's racing, I couldn't relax, I was tense in my stomach, tense in my shoulders, and that lasted for weeks. And I realized that my problem was I was wired to the gills. And as I looked back, there were signs that things weren't good. And I guess I want to give you, this is why it's going to take a bit longer, a few signs for you to look to and look for in your own self. The first is psychological signs. You know, the psychological signs are things like you're tense and anxious all of the time. You just kind of got that sense of being tense and anxious, or you're dark and depressed regularly. You know, I mean, some of us always get a bit melancholy, but just you're kind of down all the time, and that's not a normal situation. There's also that in psychologically, there's that whole kind of keyed up and where your emotions are close to the surface and they break through really quickly. I often joke, it's a bit like, you know, you're in trouble when you start crying at beer ads. And what I'm trying to say is that your emotions are so close to the surface that anything kind of pushes you through the surface. Sometimes it's tears, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's resentment. If you find your emotions close to the surface all of the time, you're not doing well. What about physical signs? Well, for a start, poor sleep habits. If you're, always waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning, if you wake up in the morning and you're awake as soon as you wake up, if you're tired all day and you can't go to sleep, those are not good signs. What about the fact that you can't relax? Now, I'm not particularly good at relaxing. I like being busy, but you just get manic. You know, sitting still for 5 minutes is just more than you can handle. There are things like headaches and indigestion and muscle tension. All of these are signs that you're carrying too much stress and too much pressure. And the third area is behavioural signs. Just things that you do regularly. For instance, what about if you hurry all the time? You're just constantly hurrying. I don't mean just that you're a bit busy, but you just got this manic hurrying all of the time. And you end up being, one of the behavioural signs is you end up being shallow in relationships. You just don't have the energy to go deep with anybody. And what happens is often, especially people in ministry and key church leaders, they go home, they give all their time and energy to people that they're ministering with. They go home and they're hollow at home. There's nobody there when they get home. The other thing is that I find behaviourally for me is everybody ends up being annoying. I wake up and my wife is annoying, the kids are annoying, I go to the office and the first person I meet is annoying. I sit at my desk and I think, why is everybody so annoying? There's only one common factor, it's me. So that kind of behavioural issue is about myself and where I'm up to. Look after yourself in leadership self-care. You need to kind of ask a question. The action point is, what's your state of mind in these 3 areas at the moment? How are you going? Be honest. Because you might find that if you are not doing well in those areas, that it's time to make some changes.